It's Graham here, living the dream in October 2022 in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, New York City. The skyline behind me again this morning, and it's something I'm loving every time I wake up here in this fantastic city that absolutely never sleeps. Thursday morning, and after today's mammoth shopping trip across to Jersey Mall and Donna and Michael's trip on the bus tour of Manhattan, we're going to actually take the C train across to 23rd and 8th back in Midtown, and we're going to go to the Highline. Now, this is something I've wanted to do for quite some time. It's blooming freezing today, but as you can see, there's not a cloud in the sky, so I think it's going to be a really beautiful day to go for a walk on the Highline and see what it has to offer. So come and join Fiona, Donna, Michael and I as we visit the Highline in Manhattan, New York City. We're going to start Thursday morning at Applebee's for breakfast. Yes, guys, we went out for breakfast this morning. It was the first and last time, I must admit. While the food was pretty good, and you would expect that at Applebee's, the service was absolutely terrible, so we never went back for breakfast, despite us saying we would probably go out for breakfast on Friday morning, but we didn't. Like far too many restaurants in our new normal post-pandemic world, Applebee's are clearly struggling to find staff. And it's not just a phenomenon in the United States, it's also a problem in the United Kingdom and probably most of the Western world. So after a pretty awful service at Applebee's in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, we went back to the Kingston Northrop subway station and took the C line all the way to 23rd and 8th in Midtown Manhattan, which we believe is the closest point to the Highline that we could find, and that is exactly the direction we're walking in now. Stepping up onto the Highline on 23rd Street and 8th Avenue, we were roughly at the halfway point. So our plan now was to walk south on the Highline right to the very end before making a 180 and walking the entire length of the Highline northbound. So we're going to start the southbound walk now, and I will come back when we make it to the end, and I'll explain a little bit more about the Highline as we make our way north along the entire length. So in effect, guys, this is where the New York Highline starts. To be clear, it doesn't really matter where you start your journey on the Highline, but we've taken the decision to walk from about halfway down to the south side, which is exactly where we are now. On Gansevoort Street, and the Highline runs for 1.45 miles north to 32nd Street at Hudson Yards. What I'm going to do now is take you on an end-to-end walk of the Highline. I'm here in Gansevoort Street, right the way up to Hudson Yards, and as I say, it is about 1.45 miles, but as you can see, it is an absolutely beautiful day here in October 2022. And yes, here in the shade it was very cold, but when we got up on the Highline and into the sunshine, it was a very pleasant day indeed. Using Wikipedia as my source, the Highline was inspired by a very similar project that opened in Paris in 1993. And here in New York, a not-for-profit organisation called the Friends of the Highline was formed in 1999. And then in 2003, the plans were finally agreed to build this Highline Park in New York. And as I said earlier, at the time we made our journey along the Highline in October 2022, it was 1.45 miles long, and that equates to 2.33 kilometers. And just in case you hadn't worked it out, but the Highline was constructed on an old Highline, funny enough, disused railway spur in central Manhattan, or I should say running north to south on the west side of central Manhattan. The first section of the Highline opened to the public in 2009, a further section opened in 2011, and a third section in 2014. From what I can read, they're planning to extend it even further, but as for now, you're following Fiona, Donna, Michael and I as we make the 1.45 miles walk from south to north. It's also one of the few attractions in New York City that is free to access. However, it's not open 24/7, and I totally understand that because the Highline gets rather close to some very nice apartments, and I've got no doubt that the inhabitants don't want strangers walking past their beautiful New York Manhattan apartment at all hours of day and night. According to the Chicago Tribune in 2022, yes guys, I've got no idea why my source was the Chicago Tribune. Nevertheless, it was interesting to read that the Highline receives around 10,000 visitors a day. So yes guys, it does get rather busy, especially in beautiful sunny days like when we visited in mid-October 2022. And as you make your way along the Highline, you will come across numerous pieces of modern art, like the mural on the wall we've just walked past. As we approach the north end of the Highline, the taller buildings of Midtown Manhattan become ever more present. And the reason we are stopping here is this particular apartment block on our left, featured on the $1 Million Listings New York show that Fiona and I love so much. It's on Bravo TV in the United States and Hey You in the UK. And from memory, I think it was Steve Gold that has one of these apartments just off the Highline in Midtown Manhattan. And hopefully now you can appreciate how close some of these gorgeous apartments are to the Highline, hence why the Highline closes in the evening. Anyway, back to our Thursday morning walk. We were approaching the north end of the Highline at Hudson Yards. And as you can see, as we approach the north end of the Highline here at Hudson Yards, we're even walking on the old tracks. So in conclusion, guys, I think the Highline is an absolute must-do for any tourist visiting New York City. At the end of the day, it is free, so why wouldn't you do it? The Statue of Liberty and the One World Trade Centers cost a fortune to visit, and so did the Empire State Building, which will feature in the next episode. So when I look back at our Virgin New Yorkers adventure while editing these videos, at the end of the day, we probably visited 3 free tourist things during our 7 days in New York City. That was very easy for me to say. The first, of course, being Central Park. The second being the Highline, where we are now. And the third, of course, being the Staten Island Ferry, which will feature in the next video. So you know what to do, guys, if you want to continue to follow Fiona, Donna, Michael and I as we enjoy our Virgin New Yorkers adventure in October 2022. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon to be notified when our next video is published. So I'm afraid I've got to admit, Fiona, you and I have reached the end of the line. So Michael, like Fiona and I, you and Donna have reached the end of the line.
Some quicker than others.
So that's always for the subways all come out?
Yeah, so a sleepy night.
I know, guys, it was a pretty poor joke, but we really had reached the end of the Highline. And here are just some of the myriad photographs that I took during our 1.45 mile walk northbound on the Highline in October 2022. And after completing our walk along the Highline, we had a wander through the Hudson Yards Mall. And as you would expect in any shopping mall, the Magpie Sisters were being pulled in the direction of anything shiny. And after we wandered through Hudson Yards shopping mall, buying absolutely nothing, we continued our walk along 32nd Street in the direction of Penn Station. The girls went to Macy's and for some strange reason only took a video of these wooden escalators. Yes, guys, the mind boggles. Women are definitely from Venus and men from Mars, but nevertheless, it was pretty good for Michael and I because we went to an Irish bar while the girls went shopping. That's not a bad deal in my opinion. Anyway, we finished off Thursday and our walk on the Highline back at our favourite little Irish bar. Of course, Ryan Maguire's on Fulton Street down at South Seaport in downtown Manhattan. And this, guys, is where I'm going to bring Thursday to a close. Thank you very much for watching.